but then the piece broke off. So.
I want a bunch of those things that go in the holes. I want to fill all of them.
All right, we're up.
Is that what they're called?
So has anybody responded? Is anybody gonna attempt to
Probably not.
join us?
Oh goodness.
Nobody's responded?
No. Did Nora read it?
Yeah, she read it, but she ain't said nothing. She ain't said nothing.
What do you want to do? Do you want to wait on them or you just
It
go?
don't matter to me. I don't think anyone's actually up. It's okay, they're missing out on a real good lesson that I could figure.
All right. Well, the only bad thing about it is if they do get ready to jump on, as soon as I share a screen, I don't think it'll tell me if anybody's in the waiting room, which I still can't figure out how to take the waiting room out completely to where y'all guys can just be on. So maybe they'll snap if they join and can't get on.
Did you get everyone out this morning?
No. I'm supposed to go somewhere at 6.
It's gonna be going.
Yeah.
Feel like I started.
Bless you.
So
Bless you.
Alex shared her meeting list, but she just hasn't presented.
She said something about that she wasn't home or wasn't going to be home or something.
She should just pre-record that thing. Just sit in your room and record it and send it in. Make sure everybody watches.
Oh, it's even cute. Look at that.
Oh, it's so yeah. It's hard now.
Should make Gavin's heart happy.
Better.
Oh, it's fresh.
There's little chickies in the back. They're tiny. I think they're chickies. You can't see them.
How's the cow's butt?
If you watch it, Gavin, I couldn't tell you.
All right, I'll hit present as soon as it comes up. So why don't you intro us into it and then. Where's the enter button?
I'm wanting to teach kindergarten, and I was looking on like, stuff that adults start learning when they're younger. And it has to do with numbers, so I just started with the even and odd numbers, tell them the difference, and let them know what they're missing, or what they need to learn, or what they do know. Are you ready, kindergarten class?
Yay! Oh.
Okay, they will be learning about the even and odd numbers. Do we know the difference between even and odd numbers? Gavin!
Well, you see here, the even number is the number that is 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And the odd number is the number that is 1, 3, 4, 2, 7, 8.
Okay, we'll work on that. We'll work on. Okay, the difference between the even and odd numbers. An even number can be divided in half, and it's also the middle number. And then the odd number is something you can't split. Does that make sense?
So you mean to tell me you can't divide 3 by 2 and it equal 1 1/2?
It's not something the kindergarten would be asking.
Okay, we're gonna identify the difference in them. Oh, you can't
Oh.
see me unless I'm in front of it.
Oh,
Okay.
what, do you want a mini whiteboard?
Yeah, that worked.
All right, hold on, talk about it for a minute.
Okay, I put up a couple numbers on the board and I'll explain to you which ones you can't just split in half.
Okay.
Oh, now I'm happy. This is gonna be nice. We'll start with these first. It's backwards on there. Okay, the first one, you can't split this number in half. It's an odd number. Can I-
Interesting.
I'll make little dots for it, or like little shapes. You can't just split that number in two.
It's an exclamation mark.
Okay, this is an even number. See, it's in the middle. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, and you can split it in half like this.
I don't know percentage.
You can't split this one in half because there's three dots. You can't do this. Let's do this.
Interesting.
So what is this guy? What number is it?
1.
No, what is this?
You see what number is it?
Is it even or odd?
Odd. Even.
Good job.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions?
Inflation.
It's supposed to be any, I'm so sorry. That was a typo. They didn't even try to correct me. I'm so sorry. There's another slide. I clicked the next. It's not
Get the space bar.
coming. Oh, okay. Okay, we'll be identifying and counting even and odd numbers.
Yay.
Anybody want to participate?
I guess I can.
Yay! Yeah, being such a good participant.
Thank you.
I got bags. You're gonna split these up, but we'll do them first. Turn this a little more. Do it like this. This one says even, this one says odd. I got dots for you. Can you count the dots?
3.
Can you count them out loud? Like 1, 2, 3?
Oh, 1, 2, 3.
Is that an even or an odd number?
Well, see, 2 of the numbers I said were odd. One of them was even.
Can you split it in half?
No.
So what would that mean?
Odd.
Good job, Gavin.
It's
Okay.
the number 4. I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Can you split this in half?
Yes.
So what does that mean?
It's even.
You only got 6 more to do.
Yay. 1, 2.
Can you split it in half?
Yes.
Meaning.
Even. Yeah, it's even.
So we'll come back to this one. You want to come back to this one?
We might need to. But
What is this?
it's the number 5. Oh my gosh, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You cannot split that in half, so it's odd.
Good job. We're almost done. We're almost done, I promise.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's an even number.
Can you split that in half?
No.
Can you split that in half?
No. Oh.
He said Stephen, he was right. We'll work on that one later too. What about this one?
This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Can you split it in half?
No. So it's odd. Yeah.
Yes, sir. What about this one?
It's number 1.
Can you split it in half?
Not at all.
Okay, let's do this.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Can you split these in half?
Yes.
Okay, what about this
That's the 1, 2.
one? Okay, can you split it in half?
Yes.
Okay,
It's
there
even.
we go. Good job, Gavin.
Thank you.
You're excelling better than anybody else in this class.
So I myself.
Happy? That's it.
Yay!
I think he understands his even and odds.
Very good.
Awesome.
We'll go back over that if you need to.
Good deal. Okay. All right. Let's see.
No.
Did.
Little kids probably should touch it.
Yeah, just that. Yeah, that might be a better option to do. Anyway, you know, where I had a. Oh, let's see what you did with it. Casey, do me a favor. Grab that black notebook for me. I wanted to talk to you guys about your assignment. It was actually supposed to go up yesterday, but I figured I'd wait and we'd talk about it. Kind of hoping that more people would be either on Zoom or in person for us to discuss it, but it is what it is. Okay, all right, so this is my TC2 notebook. How you like that? Look at all these exciting activities. All right, so did you guys, through email, receive your September calendar?
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay. All right. So, like I said, it was supposed to go up yesterday, but I pushed it to wait and talk about today, called Changing Our Comfort Zone. I guess I could swing this around and keep recording it for all of our friends at home.
There's like 5 people in the waiting room. Oh.
Does it even show if anybody responded still?
No, Nora's just the only one.
Wow.
You look at it.
Should we start calling people right about now? We should start calling them, right? And doing little surprise attacks.
I don't think I have anybody's number other than one.
Charlie's. Do I have Nora? I do.
We call them Nora.
It's like we are. She called me. I think I spelled her last name wrong on here too.
Muhammad.
Not really.
Well, that would have been nice to at least get half of the group
That's not
together.
fair. She called me and I answered.
That is-
Next time she calls, don't answer.
That is true. At least you didn't pull a Charlie, right?
Did she FaceTime Charlie?
Yeah, it's like she had it straight on Walker's face too, and it was just like an immediate.
Was she supposed to be there that day?
Yeah, she's supposed to present him.
Okay, alrighty. On that note, let's keep going. All right, changing our comfort zones. Here's what we got going up at the Google Classroom today. Okay, so think about this. Why is it difficult to make changes? Why do people have a tendency to revert back to their comfort zones? I'm going to share a little bit of a personal story from student teaching. This is student teaching in college. This is not teacher cadet stuff. All right, so UNCG. All right, let's take it back. UNCG, doing my student teaching at Ashboro High School with Coach Luck. I don't even remember what he coached anymore. I just know, I think he did wrestling. I want to say he did wrestling. But anyway, so I was doing what I felt comfortable doing in the classroom with how I was teaching. But he was, to be such a small guy, like he was like fortune size. He was short, as big as my pinky, like super skinny. Like he maybe weighed like 90 pounds soaking wet, like super tiny guy. All right. But he was literally like the Energizer Bunny. Like he didn't stop moving. He was constantly moving around the classroom and got on to me because I would get comfortable standing in one spot and talking about stuff, and he's like, no, you can't do that, you need to be walking around. And it was the most awkward feeling ever, because the classroom, and his classroom was, do you those the old hotel rooms that used to be back behind Ashboro High School?
Yeah.
And they've knocked them down now, right, in that part of their reconstruction project.
Yeah.
Well, his classroom was out in one of those hotel rooms, and which is, I don't know that it was, no, it was smaller than my classroom is. And he had, and it was desk, it wasn't tables. He had desk, and most of his desks were on well, if you're facing it, it would be the left side of the room. And then he had a handful of desks right there. So you really only had like one aisle to be able to walk up and down. So I just like paced, like my whole entire lesson, I just paced back and forth. And it was the most awkward feeling. I hated it. I felt ridiculous. And they didn't have smart boards and whiteboards to present on with projectors. If you did a PowerPoint, it showed through the TV screen. He had his TV sitting up in the corner of his classroom. So you had to watch up on the TV. When I say TV, I'm talking about the ones that had the back side of it is like a foot wide, you know, not flat screens, like it's legit. Well, we're referencing 13 years ago. 14 years ago. Transparencies and what he might have, but that's not what I used. He had his computer, and his computer was hooked up to the TV, and that's how I presented my PowerPoints. And it was like legit Microsoft PowerPoint. It was not Google Slides or Google anything. But I was presenting through the TV, but that's all I had was a space to like, and it was really weird, but I felt like I had to do what he wanted me to do in order to get a good grade on my student teaching. So I kind of felt forced in a way. And as soon as I was done with that, I was like, all right, I'm going to do what I feel comfortable doing. So that kind of goes back to this, that I went back to I reverted back to my comfort zone on how I wanted to do things in the classroom. So anyway, we got to think about things like that. So jumping through hoops. All right. If we were able to touch hands, which we're not, and if we had more than just two of you, we would be, so just imagine in your head, we're doing this activity, forming a circle by holding hands. One of you guys would have your hand through a hula hoop. Have you ever seen this activity and you try and get, everybody has to get their whole body through the hula hoop and you have to pass it all around? Okay, all right, there we go, yeah. So imagine that activity. You've seen that before, so you know what I'm talking about, all right? Well, imagine having to do that activity with people that you don't know, that you have not been around and that you're not familiar with, because when I went to do this Teacher Cadet Conference workshop, I had to do it with people that I didn't know, and I don't like that. I don't like touching other people anyway, and so the idea that I had to hold hands and touch people that, because I knew nobody that was there, nobody, not a single person, because they were all from other counties. There were teachers from Montgomery County, Johnston County, even, what county is Asheville? I think Boone is Watauga, but I want to say that Asheville is, I don't remember. At one point in time, I actually knew. How many counties? Trivia question. How many counties are there?
100.
There are 100 counties in North Carolina. Yes. But I don't remember which one that was. But anyway, back to my story. Okay, so I had to do this activity, and there's only like 6 of us, so it doesn't take us very long, but it was weird and awkward, and I felt dumb, and you know, I'm having this nervous laugh to keep myself from crying because I don't want to be doing this right now, but I have to because I'm supposed to be an adult. So anyway, so imagine that activity and how weird and awkward you would feel doing it if you're doing it with people that you don't know. So we had to do it first. We had to do it going like clockwise, and then we had to reverse it and go counterclockwise. And we just kind of did it at a casual pace. And then she's like, all right, this time we're going to accelerate it. And you got to get this done in under a minute. And people were like slipping and falling, and I almost busted my face. And it was an intense situation. So I say all that to say this. All right. Imagine being in the classroom. Imagine being in the classroom, and imagine you've got your cooperating teacher who's watching you. You've got me doing observations, which we didn't get to do this. We didn't get to experience this last semester. What would it have been like if you had legit been in your field experience teacher's classroom with your field experience teacher watching? Gavin got to experience it. Once.
He was the only one.
Yes, he was the only one because he started early because she was getting ready to go on maternity leave.
I was so excited and everything. My teachers were ready for me to come
I
out and
know.
lesson plans for them.
I know, and unfortunately, and we had some pretty awesome rock star veteran teachers that were willing and able to take us on. But what is that? Who you want again?
Yeah,
I gotta
I
fin-
think
okay.
I like the way that they're doing stuff.
Okay, because somebody else, I think it was one of the TC ones wants kindergarten too, and so I was gonna hook them up with whoever wants Pope, whoever wants Allie. And I want to say that maybe there were 2 others that wanted kindergarten, so I might have to get, I know we've got 4 kindergarten teachers total, so Howard, Pope, and Allie will probably be the ones that I'll ask. But hey, Sunshine, share with us, what was that experience like to have both me
Awkward.
and your field experience teacher in the classroom?
It's
You
weird.
know, they're-
I felt judged. That's what I felt. Like, I mean, I sat up there. I was like, I had all plan in my head, and then I just got these 2 people in the back of the classroom staring at me with papers in their hands, writing stuff down. I'm just like, oh,
Did they give you the paper after you were done?
no, I don't think so.
Mm-mm.
Aren't you supposed to leave it for them?
Um,
Get a copy of it?
yeah. And I decided not to, just
It was
because.
rough. I don't like this. Like, I didn't like disciplining them because, like, I hang out with them whenever I'm not doing that. So I felt weird telling them,
Were
like,
they on their phone and stuff?
probably.
But we sat down afterwards and discussed it,
Yeah.
right? We
Yeah, we sat there and
discussed
talked about it.
what you should have done, what changes we would have made in different circumstances, being more active, because that's what you did. You found one spot, you stuck to it, very monotone in your whole presentation. You said that you would have thrown in activities, right? You would have thrown in things to kind of
That was the last minute thing.
pump it up. Okay. Yeah, but we did discuss it. I didn't give him written feedback, but we did discuss it. So, and plus I sometimes try not to make people cry if I can help it. So I just kind of held off on that. But anyway. All right. So, hold on, let me skip to what it is that you've actually got to do. Okay. So what I'm going to have you do is do a written assignment to where you reference and reflect on a situation in which you did not feel comfortable, like what it was, why you didn't feel comfortable, and if you had been allowed to do how you wanted to do things, how would it have been differently? You know, like a different routine. Virtual learning would be a fantastic experience. We have forced ourselves to get into a different world and situation than what we're normally used to. And given the opportunity, would you choose to request that we go back to school as we normally would? Or would you be okay with the change that we're currently in and sticking with that course? So you could reflect on that as a good example, unless you have something else. You know, you've got like a childhood nightmare that you sometimes reflect on. That was a very uncomfortable situation. So that's what I'm going to have you guys write on. So, and think about this, and also kind of put in a part 2 to that. Think about being in the classroom. What would be a hard situation in the classroom, something that you would have to change and get used to? And I will be the first to admit that I don't do well with change. I don't like change, and I usually will fight it harder than any other person. And I'll give you another example. So for a very brief 4.5 months, and most of the time I block this out and don't want to remember it, but for a brief 4.5 months of my teaching career, I was at an alternative school, and I didn't know what an alternative school was until I got there and realized that I was teaching juvenile delinquents that had been kicked out from their other schools and had to deal with kids that had to meet with their parole officers and kids that came in with house arrest bracelets on. It was because I had never experienced fights breaking out in the classroom before. I had never experienced having a teacher assistant, and that's what their sole purpose was to come in and break up the fights for me. I had never experienced that before. And these were middle school students, half of which were supposed to age-wise be in high school. In North Carolina, do you know what the oldest age is that you can be in middle school before you get kicked out?
18 or 16.
So it's 16 for middle school. What about high school? Once you hit this age,
There's a 25.
it's either 20 or 21. You hit 20 or 21 and you're no longer welcome. You have aged out. You can no longer be around high school aged students.
Anyway, something bad can happen.
Well, yeah, all those things, for all those reasons. That's why. So I had several 15-year-olds that were getting ready to be phased out if they did not finish 8th grade that year. How embarrassing would it be to drive to middle school, right? So, you know, a lot of things going into that situation. But there was an EC teacher, because just about every one of these students had different accommodations that they needed in the classroom. And I had never co-taught or worked with someone else in the classroom like Miss Hargett does and Miss Griffin. I think Griffin helps math teachers with inclusion, and then Hargett helps English teachers with inclusion. I'd never done that before. I didn't want to do that. And and first of all, I should say, I think it was also a personality clash between me and this EC teacher. She really just aggravated the snot out of me. And I thought, oh my God, if I have to work with her, you know, for half a day, every day, I'm going to lose my mind. And they gave me, I had the opportunity to build the schedule of the classes. And so I said, all right, watch this. And I scheduled it to where she was with the English teacher instead of with me, just so I didn't have to have her in the classroom with me. That's bad. That is not an example that you guys should follow. That is not being a team player. But I was 23 years old and I thought that I knew better, even though it was only my second year of teaching. And anyway, so that was me being forced out of my comfort zone for a very short period of time. And don't know that I so much adapted because I stayed in my box for a very long time. I didn't want to come out of my box. So I want you guys to do better. Do better, right? Okay, so that is your activity, focused on, again, getting out of our comfort zones. What is an example of something that would make you get out of your comfort zone? Would you say, Gavin, having to work with your fellow peers was something that made you have to get out of your comfort zone? Yeah.
I don't like telling people what to do. I don't like people telling me what to do. So I don't know, especially people I hang out with. Like, that's just different. Like, I guess.
So, all right. So here's something we got to go back to. All right. You said you have an issue with telling people what to do. So if it's your students that you don't know any of them and they come in the classroom, they're a group of freshmen, you never met them a day in your life, are you going to be comfortable in that situation?
Yeah, probably did. Because then they'll be like, I don't know, it's just like they're doing something stupid or something that it shouldn't. It's just like, really, like, I don't know, it's like common sense, I guess, that they would be getting on to.
But you would be more comfortable then versus sitting with your peers, your fellow juniors and seniors,
Like,
right?
that's a tough question. So, like,
You're expecting them to have respect for you, but they're young and they're wanting
So,
to
like,
get home.
I'll sit here, we're hanging out, you know, and that is something stupid. I like, you know, sort of get on to them, sort of like really, like, you know, that kind of way. But then in the classroom, it's just like, almost using to explain. They don't come out with words. It's like, You got the people you don't know, and then the people you do know. The people you don't know does something, it's like, oh, I'm not gonna see you later on, I don't care. But when the people you do know does something, you get on to them, then it's like later on, oh, but I can't have my phone out now, huh? Like, you know, like it's that kind of stuff, and it makes you want to punch them. So then it's just like, really, like, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, learning patience. Patience is definitely a learned skill for some people. Some people
Yeah,
it comes to
kids, whenever
naturally.
you're taking them in here, it's just like, they're
There's
like,
some
they're
people,
going
yeah,
this fast, I'm going this fast, I'm like, y'all need to speed it up. This kid said, did you change your hair? I was like, I just ain't done nothing to it. He was like, I liked it better before. I wanted to say I liked it better before when you weren't in here, but I was like, no, I'm not saying that.
He asked what I think about hair.
Yeah, he was like all up in everybody's hair. Like, he was just like, what the world is going on with y'all's hair?
The other week when I came in, I had my hair cut. That one kid was thinking, you need to get your hair cut. And I'm like, I just did. More old.
Oh no.
They're savage. They're mean.
Yeah, those are fact. Yeah, that is one thing about younger kids is that not that older kids aren't that same way. Some of them are and some of them aren't, but younger kids especially a lot of times have no filter. They are brutally honest.
But it's like you say something back to older kids. Like, some of them get over it, some of them don't. But like younger
Yes.
kids, it's like you sit there and make fun of them. Don't
Yeah.
go cry to their mom.
I feel like we weren't like that when we were younger. Like we didn't cry.
I thought I was really nice to everybody,
Yeah, I bet.
but I was probably tired.
I don't think I was ever really mean. I mean, no. Yeah, I like this song, so if you help.